What's up, mortgage coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live with Pinky Shah out of Central New Jersey. What's up, Pinky?
How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. Well, I am looking forward to this interview. I love how you position yourself as a mortgage strategist. I checked you out on social media, on LinkedIn, mortgage strategist. Looks like you're doing a lot on both YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and you're obviously advice is your value prop. So tell everybody a little bit about your mortgage practice and a little bit about your production, and then we'll get into your strategies and ideas.
Okay, thank you. So I am with Fairway Mortgage here in New Jersey, and I'm a correspondent lender. Grew up in the broker channel, so that's where I followed my father into the business, is how I got into it. And he owned a small brokerage. I took it over at some point and decided that I wanted the resources of a big company, to better serve my clients. And then that's where I stumbled upon Mortgage Coach. And then different coaching groups and that's how I came upon Mortgage Coach and learned the value of being a strategist and not just selling rate or anything like that. So, whoops, hold on. Forgot to turn my phone off. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So what about a little bit about your production? I don't know if you have a team. Just tell us a little bit about your mortgage practice.
Sure. Yep. So production wise, I think last year we closed just a little over 60 million, just shy of 200 units. And I've got a team of, there's 4 of us total, including me, one who's a licensed loan partner and someone who handles like the intake type stuff, and one on the marketing side. So that's a little bit about how we're structured. Yeah.
Good. And what's your goal this year?
My goal this year is 70 million, and 210 is the number of families that we want to serve.
All right. Well, I know you can do it. How did you come about calling yourself and positioning yourself as a mortgage strategist?
I think it was, I didn't want to just be a lender. I never wanted to be in sales. I never wanted to just do the average thing that was done in the industry or whatever industry I'm in. And I like being a part of helping people make decisions. That's why I enjoy the business, is when I know that I'm making an impact on them, not just doing the paperwork. So I think that's where the strategist part. And then, I'm a learner. I'm a constant learner, and I absorb what I don't feel like I, need to be the first to do anything. So I really take in what all the folks that ahead of me have done and accomplished successfully. And I saw that it was the strategist that I gravitated to. I like the idea of knowing that I was adding value. So that's where it came from. Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear how you position yourself as a strategist with a consumer, whether it's a buyer or a refinance. And I'd also love to hear how that sounds when you talk to a referral partner, like a realtor. And by the way, what is your referral mix? Where does your business come from?
So I've got about 55% comes from realtors. I had another 40% come from past clients, or either they returned or someone that they referred. I've got, I think, so what is that? I think there was another 10 that came from just general sphere, family, friends, contacts. And that also included business partners like accountants, CPAs. And then there was a tiny 2 or 3% that came from, the web and some unknown source. The majority was from referrals. So I still have some channels to develop there. Still want to build up the other business partner channel.
Well, and, position yourself as a mortgage strategist. Are you doing anything intentional with CPAs and financial planners? Is that part of your goal this year?
It is part of my goal. I just haven't done it consistently to date. Yeah.
Did you by any chance see any of the Scriptapalooza event on Tuesday?
It's on my agenda if you look at my planner for the weekend.
So
absolutely. I love Scriptapalooza. Amazing job you could do putting that together.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I know Todd and I, we worked hard this year, and we had an amazing group, and it went 3 hours and 40 minutes. So, I mean, it's like we wanted to beat Jocko Willink and Joe Rogan, like they do 2 and 3 hour events. And we're like, we're going to go 3 hours and 40 minutes. But make sure you check out Wally Elderberry. He was the second speaker, and he talked about how he's getting financial planners and CPAs to give him their database so that he can do annual reviews with Mortgage Coach, and he's also putting them in HomeBot. By the way, do you use HomeBot? I'm just curious.
I do, yeah. So I do Ryan Grant's Art of Homeownership.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm an Art of Homeownership lender. So I've got, so all of those are part of the platform.
Yeah, well, I noticed before this call, I think you'll become a mortgage coach grandmaster this year. You're already a black belt,
Woohoo!
but it was clear that you're creating some total cost analysis manually, and then you're creating some total cost analysis with automation. And just, it looks like you're using the Optimal Blue integration and the HomeBot integration.
Yes.
So cool on that. So let's get into, what does that sound like with a consumer when you're positioning yourself with a family as a mortgage strategist? How do you do that? Like, what's that sound like?
So like if I do a pre-purchase consultation with all my clients.
Okay.
So for the buyers, right? And I'll speak with that because that's the bulk of my business is the purchases. So if a buyer comes in and we've got their initial pre-qual, pre-approval, and I do a pre-purchase consultation, and in that pre-purchase consultation, I'm asking a lot of questions. So tell me a little bit about why you're wanting to buy a home, what's got you motivated to buy a home. We have questions like, and tell me what your goals are, what's a comfortable monthly payment for you, how much do you want to put as a down payment? I understand you may have 40,000, but what do we have left in reserves? So we're having conversations like that before we ever talk about what they're actually going to do about, and buy. And then I say, okay, now that I understand this, you may be qualified for a payment of 3,000, but you told me that you're only comfortable with 2,000. How confident are we in that number? And then we go into the mortgage coach and we go through the numbers there. And right now with the market, the way it is, I'm actually spending a lot of time educating them about the state of the market and how important it is. I'm really saying how important it is for them to understand their numbers because they are going to have to make quick decisions if they want to get a home. And they don't want to be at that point thinking, can I go up to 2,000 on this payment or not? So I was like, so I'm really spending a lot of time educating them on that and teaching them how to use our calculator as well so that they can make those quick decisions.
We in today's Friday Mastermind, I had 5 top producers sharing how they're handling the appraisal gap issue. Is that happening in your market where some appraisals aren't coming in at purchase price?
Yes, I think it's everywhere right now. So yes, we have conversations like that. That was one of the conversations I had with somebody yesterday, like how much can you cover? We're having conversations with the partners. That kind of leads into what you were asking about, how we're setting all this up with the partners, right? So we're having that same conversation with the partner. So oftentimes we'll do a joint session between the buyer and the realtor and us. And we'll just talk through that and say, okay, yes, they can buy 500. They can go X over asking price if they need to and waive contingency up to that amount. So we're having conversations like that.
Yeah. And that was one of the takeaways. All the top producers were doing preparing the buyer as part of the pre-qual that, hey, and if you need to make an offer above the purchase price, let me show you what single premium MI looks like. So like, hey, this is buying the home with the down payment you want. And the appraisal comes in, and then program B is appraisal doesn't come in, but yet you still want to have the same down payment. What does that MI, that single premium MI look like? So it sounds like you're doing that also.
Yeah. In some capacity. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then what does it sound like? How do you position yourself as a mortgage coach / mortgage strategist with a real estate agent? And how does, like, obviously when you described it just now, like some of it was, hey, I'm a loan officer, and it was transactional coaching. And then some of it was strategic coaching.
Right.
How do you position yourself with agents?
So with agents, I tell them that we do all this, quite frankly, is the biggest thing, and that we've got systems and processes, which a lot of lenders don't have. And so just the fact that I'm having this pre-purchase consultation already helps the agent realize that we're different. But I educate them on how I educate the clients so that when they go out and they're able to spend their time wisely with each client that they're spending their time on, and their clients are likely to be able to make quicker decisions for them, so we can save them hours in the process of working with the client by helping educate the clients and really making sure that they're not wasting their time going out and looking at homes and then saying, you know what, not really feeling it. So we really try to help make sure that we educate the realtors on that. And then we also educate the realtors on, I copy them on every total cost analysis that I send to the clients. And I do that, mortgage code, you have the option to alert the partner. So we always check that box off as well.
Nice.
So that they can get the alerts. And so sometimes, they are coming to us and saying, what was that thing that you did again? They don't remember what it's called, which is fine, but they know that we go the extra mile and educate the clients. And I follow up with the phone call to them after that consultation. And I say, so I spoke to, your client, Mr. Savage, and he's looking to buy a home. He may be qualified up to 500, but his comfort zone is 450. So given the market, you may want to start taking him out looking at 425 homes. He's got this room. So we do that. And I was like, and I'm copying you on the total cost analysis. So we educate the realtors so that they're, again, spending their time wisely with the clients by knowing that we're really setting them up. And then we tell them all about what we do after closing. That's the other big part of it with the art of homeownership, and kind of letting them know that, we're really not just in this for the transaction. We're really here to make you successful for the long run. We're going to come back and have conversations with them in the future and help them figure out how to continue to manage their wealth and real estate wisely.
Love that. And folks, when you think of art of home ownership, I mean, it's packaging your value beyond the transaction, and using Mortgage Coach, using HomeBot, using House Happy, and then using good marketing and good scripting so that families understand that, hey, the loan, closing the loan, that's where I get started. I'm going to help you build wealth with real estate. I'm going to be managing your mortgage. I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. So let's get into a specific strategy. I know you've got a total cost analysis you want to show everyone. So tell us what the sales situation was, a little bit about the story of the
Sure.
consumer, and then show us how you used Mortgage Coach to help this family make a better decision.
Okay, sure. So I picked one that I just did recently, and this family was first introduced to us about 1.5 years ago. We had conversations with them and talk about, mortgage strategists, like they weren't ready at the time. We helped them sort through how they had to save a little bit more and things that they had to do at that time. And then fast forward, they've saved, and there's some blessings out of pandemic. One was that they had a chance to save some more money. So they're now in a position to be ready to go buy. And so we put this together, and they weren't really sure exactly where they wanted to buy and what.
I'm not seeing it if you're showing your screen.
Nope, I'm just about to share it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure if you thought we were seeing it.
It was on my setup, Dave.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
But by the way, wait, I got to call this out. So I love, the way you've taken the company brand, but you've also put your own personality and your own team brand around it. So great job on that. And remember, Mortgage Coach community. That's one of the other beauties of Mortgage Coach, is that not only are you presenting numbers, you're also in a multi-channel, whether they open it up on their iPhone, their Android, their desktop, they're getting your personal brand with the numbers. So super slick. Love the way you did it.
Thank you. So this is the one I do most often, which is price point. Like this is always my starting point unless I know. So I ask questions so that as a little bit of a setup in that pre-purchase consultation, I have like a rough skeleton put together before we go into that meeting. My loan partner puts together a skeleton TCA with just the basics in it. So when I'm in that pre-purchase consultation, I'm asking questions and understanding. So this particular family, I came to learn that they really did not want to spend more than $3,000 and were really hoping to spend about $25 or $100 or so on their monthly payment. So as I was in the meeting with them, I went and I just added in a couple more scenarios to show them what they can do. Did I lose you, Dave, or you're there?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Your picture went away.
I can still see you.
Okay, cool. So, and I can make this a little bit bigger if you guys want, but what I really did was I showed them, this is what your maximum, and I walk them through this together, like your maximum purchase price is this, your payments here. And they say, whoa, we have no interest in doing that. No problem. You told me you want to be closer to 3,000. It's really a purchase price closer to 400. That's going to get you there. And, and they told me 300 was a number that was in their head. So that's why I created this range for them. And then I walk them through the more info. And I explain to them all how I came up with the number. And the big thing I usually do is the taxes. And I focus on how this is just an assumption right now. And there could be like $400,000 houses that have a varying range of taxes, and your monthly payment's going to be different accordingly. And then I teach them how to use our calculator that we have so that they can come up with numbers. And I remind them how all of that is really going to help give them the tools to make decisions on the spot, and how they don't have to wait around for me. So I don't want you to be stuck waiting for me on a Friday or a Saturday. And so I'm really helping them understand how they can do this on their own, have given them the tools to do this on their own and to make these smart decisions. So couple things, guys. If you want to position yourself as a strategist, if you want to position yourself as an advisor,
you've got to give advice. And when you give a fee worksheet with one program, rate, payment, and cash to close, that's not advice, that's a rate quote. So part of what she's doing is she's showing options, for every, by the way, what percentage of your clients are you doing this mortgage strategy advice on?
90. I'd want to say it's 100, but maybe I'm missing a few. So it's probably at least 90.
Yeah. And would you say, like, when you're typically doing a pre-purchase consultation, what percentage of the time is it like this, where you're showing either purchase price options or down payment options?
Almost 100.
Are there any other strategies that you're doing for pre-purchase?
So pre-purchase, yeah, it depends on what they're doing. Like I've got, if they're not sure, I've had a couple clients recently where they're like, well, I may buy primary residence and an investment property, or an investment property. So I might have done something like that. Or I may be showing them if they sell or don't sell. Sometimes that happens. Like what happens if I sell my home? What happens if I don't sell my home? So I might have that happen sometimes.
Have you ever done with a sell or don't sell, where, like, let's say you buy the new move up home, you sell, and now you could take the proceeds from selling and you can either prepay the mortgage, recast it, and actually look how much lower your payment could be, or you could take that money from selling your home and invest it in the bank, and, like, let's look at your net worth. Have you ever done that?
So I've talked about recast, but I've never put it into Mortgage Coach. So we do have conversations there, but I've not put that in here. Yeah. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. Did you see the interview I did with Amber Kovark and the move up analysis?
I did, and I've been using that since her. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, I've definitely been doing that. I like that. I just did that this week, as a matter of fact, with somebody.
Nice. So two other things that came up, guys, that I just thought of when we did Scriptapalooza. Cody Touche shared a script about how he turns buyers into investors. And you triggered me thinking about that, because you talked about, hey, sometimes I'm showing people buying and investing. And make sure you guys check out Cody Touche if you want to help turn your clients into investors and you want to help them understand real estate investing. He did some great scripting around that. So cool. Anything else you want to share on this specific TCA?
This specific one, I think the other thing, not TCA specific, but similar, is when we go through the closing costs, in the spirit of, the strategist concept, I do challenge my clients a lot. So, and remind them that, so if they say they're comfortable spending 28,000, and when I looked in their bank account, they only had 28,000, I do push back a little bit and I say, do we have other reserves everywhere else? I'm like, and, I joke and I say, that when you buy a house, that it's a little, dirty secret that there's more money you're gonna have to spend afterwards, right? So right. Like, do we have more money to get the little things that you want afterwards? So I do push back on them when they give me a number. And the same thing with the payment breakdown. If they tell me 3,000, I'll push back and I'll say, okay, so if the house of your dreams were to show up tomorrow and it was going to cost you 3,100, you would have absolute discipline. You would say, no way, no how, I'm not doing it, right? And they're like, well, no, maybe I could go to 31. Okay, so what if it was 3,200? That's where you would say absolutely no. And they say no. And then I challenge them to say, where did you come up with this number from? And I give them homework and I say, go back and talk and figure out what that real number truly is for you. So I do push back on them for that.
Love it. So do you have any other TCAs you want to show us?
Sure, I'll show you a refi one, since
that'd be cool.
Season right now, right? Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of this video. It looks like I did it right after I showered. So,
well, by the way, I love that, because it's just, you're just being real, and so guys, I've seen people do videos with baseball caps, just got done working out. Be yourself. You don't always have to, be your best every time you make a video.
Yes, I've definitely embraced that almost to a fault. So
it's not a fault. It's a great thing.
So this is one where it was a refi. I think he was moving from a 30-year, and we talked about moving him to a 15-year. And he had questions about whether or not it made sense to refinance, right? Am I really saving? Like, he had about 13 years left with the refi. He was going back up to 15, and he was comfortable with a little higher payment. So we talked about, what if you paid extra into and reduced your payment? So we went down that road with him, and he ends up, really cutting his mortgage down to 8 years. And then I show him these graphs here about, here's what happens. You're saving this amount in interest. And if you pay the extra 400, look at how much you're saving. Like, is it worth it? You tell me you're saving, 13,000 or 12,000, whatever that math is. And so that it makes it so much easier to just illustrate that point. Is it worth it?
Yeah. And guys, that is a requirement. If you want to be a strategist, if you want to be a mortgage coach, advisor, anything other than a loan officer, when you do refis, show people the power of their savings, whether they took that money and invested it, whether they took that money and reinvested it, showing the power. That's advice. That's strategy. Love that. I also love, is that 346 reviews, 9 so that's cool. You're using the integration that we have with experience.com. That looks awesome. I'm curious, do you, knowing that you've got your branding, you've got your numbers, your delivering strategy, do you ever talk about your reviews while you're in the TCA?
Not in the TCA. I do talk about it in the pre-purchase consultation, but not specifically in the TCA.
Got it. Anything else you want to share on this particular TCA before we move on?
On this one, no, the only thing I would point is you mentioned about the investing. So in that conversation that I have with them, the refi consult, I will ask them about what their goals are. And I think that's a really important part when we're doing refinances. I don't just make assumptions about how long they're going to stay in the house, that they want a better payment, that they want to cut to it. I really ask, like, what is it? Are you comfortable with the payment? And I ask a lot of questions. And depending on their savviness with investing, you mentioned about, what if you invested in the market? So I kind of have that conversation, and depending on the responses they've given me, will go with either suggesting paying extra into the mortgage or investing in the market. So I do tailor that based on the conversation.
Love that. Hey, if you could go to your advice engine and go to the settings tab, I want to show everybody a few things. So if you click on settings, you can see that she's created 550 total cost analysis. She's added 273 videos. So you can see that about 50% of the TCAs she's putting a video on. Great job. And then you can see those have been viewed 3,300 times. So great job. They're getting viewed more than 5 times. It looks like more than 6 times on average. What kind of feedback do you get from your clients when you're giving them this TCA? And clearly, if they're looking at it, over 6 times, are you getting some good feedback?
Yeah, for the most part, those that give the feedback are really good, and they love it because I do what we just did, I think, with the highlighting and everything. And they love that. Sometimes if I'm doing it on camera, on Zoom like this, or when they're not with me, if they haven't called it out, I kind of just remind them. I was like, hey, is it turning yellow? Like when I click, they're like, yeah, that's so great. How are you able to do that? And so they find it really helpful. And I do get a lot of clients that tell me how it just made it easy. It made it simple to understand, and they like the layout of it, and it's simple and complex. And not complex. And the video often helps them explain it when they forget about it.
Well, Pinky, you are an awesome role model and leader in the mortgage coach community. Have you used our new debt consolidation analysis features yet?
I have not, and I'm so excited to use it. Actually, when you guys put it out, I've been really excited. But the first 10 refi conversations I've had since you put it out, they've all said we have no debt to pay off. I'm like, come on, I want somebody with debt. So I've been waiting for somebody with tons of debt so I can use the tool. It's so great.
Right on. Well, let me show you guys what it is, because it's now available for everyone to use. First of all, status quo on the left, that's a loan officer, not mortgage advisor, not mortgage strategist. You want to be a mortgage strategist, you've got to give a total cost analysis. So this is another great interview I did with Alex Cook. Last year was his very first year in the business, and I think he did 102 loans. And this one is a single mom, where the single mom wanted to do a refinance, or wanted to consider a refinance. Now, I think she owed about 19 years on her current loan, and she didn't want to go backwards. So he's like, hey, here's a couple different refi options. Now, in this particular case, she needed to take some cash out to do some home improvements, and she had some debt that can be consolidated. And he used the new feature in Mortgage Coach, the debt consolidation analysis, which everyone has. And this is what it looks like, guys. So, it's so clean, so nice. That's literally, if for a client where it makes sense, it's something they would pay for. So it allows you to put in all of the debts of the family, all of the details, and really net out the value. Another really cool strategy on this. Did you by any chance see that interview I did with him, the single mom refi interview?
It doesn't ring a bell. No.
Well, another thing that I think would be cool for you is what he's doing is not only did he help that family, but after he helped the family, he was so stoked about it. He picked up his phone and he did like a 2 minute and 30-second video, put it on Facebook. I think he put $100 in advertising, Facebook ads on it, got like 30,000 views and got 2 loans. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, yeah, let's see if that works again. Put another $100 on it, got another 2 loans. So 6 of his 102 loans last year came from one single mom refi and about $300 in Facebook advertising. So, and you're so good on camera, and I know you're creating so much content, you might think about whether, and it might be a move up. It might be something where you were a strategist,
Right.
and you took a family from, what should I do, to, oh my gosh, you made it clear what I should do.
I love that. Actually, and Dave, on that, if I could note, one of the things I love about Mortgage Coach, aside from the product, is the community and all the education that you provide through this community. It really is incredible. I've learned so much, and thank you to all the people who've come on before me and shared so openly, because I can't remember who I got what from necessarily, but a lot of what I do is from the folks that I've learned from in the community. So, kudos to you for bringing us together in this way and sharing with us in this way. And I'm honored to be here as in this capacity now. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I think the most valuable thing we have at Mortgage Coach, yeah, we've got a great product and we're great at technology, but it's the people, it's the leaders, it's you, it's other leaders that have jumped on this stage and transparently shared what they do, how they do it. By the way, Amy Simmons just said, "Go Pinky." So she commented, "What's up, Amy?" We're gonna wrap this up pretty soon, guys. So for anybody that's in the live audience, ask questions now. If you are watching the recording this and you have questions or comments, let us know what they are. Pinky, are you willing to share links to the TCAs that you talked about today?
Absolutely.
Cool. So knowing that you've watched a lot of these interviews, you've got a lot of value from it. Any closing thoughts? You've been in this audience before, and I think sometimes those closing thoughts, not to put pressure on you, but sometimes those closing thoughts are some of the biggest gold. Any closing thoughts for everybody?
Two things I think come to mind. One is just use this, right? I was scared at the beginning. It seemed overwhelming. It was a lot. And just jumping in and using Mortgage Coach, and people would say I can do a TCA in 3 minutes. And I was like, they're crazy. It takes me 15 minutes, but really it does become that. So just use it and get good at it. It really is a game changer and a differentiator. And then the other thing I will say, because as a user and as a frequent watcher of your content, is there's a lot of great people doing some amazing things. Pick the one that's most you. Don't just copy somebody to copy it. Like, it has to be you. And when it's authentic and real, your chance of implementation and success with it are so much greater. So
I like those two takeaways. I am curious to go from that. Like, you've seen these interviews and you've heard people say, "Oh, I can do it in 3 minutes." And you're like, "I don't believe you. Takes me 15." How long did it take you to go from the 15-minute TCA to the 3 minute? How many reps? I mean, just give a feel for folks. And was there anything you did that like really helped you get faster, get better?
just repetition. It's like anything, right? It's like any exercise. You just keep, the more reps you do, the better you get at it. So I don't remember how many it was. It was probably a good, I want to say at least 30 to 40, maybe 50 before it felt second nature. And then I started developing these additional things, right? I'm like, oh, how do I do that? Like, when I discovered how to add that additional payment and the investment, it was like, I just struck gold. It was like a new tool I found. So, but I think it was definitely at least a good 30 to 40. So that's why I say be patient and just do them.
I always tell people that, I mean, the first 5 are the hardest.
Oh, definitely.
But once if you're good with tech, 10, if you're not good with tech, 20, you know how to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm with you to get to where you are uber fast. You're going to have to, I don't think you need to be a brown belt, which is 100 TCAs, but you need to get to orange belt. Orange belt is the hardest belt of all to earn because that's your first 20 TCAs. And then I would say, blue belt. And by the time you're a blue belt, you've got this thing wired, which I think is 50 TCAs.
Yeah. Well, and it's using the tools too, by the way, Dave, because I think at the beginning, I didn't know about how to use little things like the fee templates. So I was entering so it was like, by then I discovered all the little tricks too. So it was like, and as you keep discovering those tricks, that's how you keep dwindling the time down too.
So she just mentioned fee templates. We also have strategy templates, and using those templates is the key. Like, no,
Yes.
you can't get under 10 or 15 minutes if you're not using templates and you're not using cut and paste, but you want to get down to 2 minutes. One, use our integrations. Hopefully you work for a company that has Mortgage Coach as part of the tech stack, and you have integrations like Optimal Blue, Experience, different, just about every CRM integrates with Mortgage Coach. Well, hey, Pinky, you have been awesome. Thank you for making time to give back and share what you're doing with other folks. I would love to interview you again this year. So if you come across an idea, a strategy, I am looking for examples of loan officers that are, okay, I created some advice and now I made a video and some marketing content around it. So
now I've got some more motivation to go out and do that. So
exactly. And also, I hope you attend our Modern Real Estate Summit coming up, our Win by Noon's Modern Real Estate Summit coming up next month. So make sure you guys check that out. And Pinky, have an awesome day.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Give us a like down below if you got value from this, and have a good one, everyone.